Welcome to the podcast. Today my guest is Saia Hanlon. Sai, you're a drummer.
Apparently. I hit shit, that's what they say.
And you've got a band with your brother.
I do, yeah.
And your dad was a drummer, who I managed to see him play quite a bit when I was younger. He was a great drummer. What got you into playing music in the first place? Was that because of your dad?
Yeah, I think so. Just him rehearsing and playing at home, practicing. He was a real big practice guy.
Okay.
Unlike myself.
I see you online. You practice a fair bit.
Oh, I don't practice at all. I just see that sun out there and I'm like, why practice and sit inside? Look at that beach.
Yeah, that's true.
No, he was a really big practice guy. So he was like, 6-7 hour a day kind of guy. So it was just constantly, drumming in a house in his soundproof room. So he's like, it's soundproof, and I can hear him pick up his sticks. I'm like, oh man, here we go.
So I guess that would have had if you're hearing him do that all the time, that's something that would have been quite influential.
Yeah, absolutely.
When did you start playing drums?
It's actually a really good question. Someone asked me about that recently. I actually don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that far back. I'm just like, I've always just played drums. There's no really time where I'm like, I'm playing drums. I kind of just was always playing them.
Just picking up sticks lying around the house?
Well,
bashing
yeah.
on things?
Yeah, Mum would freaking hate it, but the old man loved it. But because he'd always build like a soundproof room in one of our houses that we'd live in. And so it was kind of a playroom as well for my brother and I. So we'd go in there and there's drums in a corner, and as a kid, you're just like, oh, look at these things. So you're just constantly on them.
Yeah. And Omar plays bass. Did he always play bass, or was he a budding drummer as well?
No, he was never a drummer. But funny thing is that, so I had a school band, and I used to think, I used to say to my friends, like, come over on Saturdays and Sundays, we'll just jam out. I'd play drums, they would pick up and play a bit of guitar. And my brother was, just an annoying little brother back then. He's like, would he just, stop hanging around. These are my friends. And he would always just hang out the door, waiting and just watching. And he'd be looking through and like, waiting for an invite. And I'd be like, nah. So for months, I'd tell him to go away. And maybe it was years even. And then eventually we had a band meeting and sacked our bass player at the time because he'd rather throw chips around the room and be serious musos like us at 12 years old, trying to get a record deal. And I was like, stuff it, let's ask Omar. So then Omar came in, and he came in lightning fast, picked up the bass straight away, and was like, that's your instrument. And that's actually how he started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And obviously him listening to Damien as well, because Damien
played with your dad.
With Dad, and he was always around.
Yeah.
Playing. So Omar used to hear that all the time, and so
for those people who Damien Barnard was a bass player that played around here. I worked with Damien for a while.
You did, yeah.
Great bass player.
Yeah.
Great bass player.
Solid as a rock.
Yeah. Yeah, he had such a great energy. So you played at school with the schoolmates?
Yeah.
What were you doing, gigs, or was it just a jam just for fun, or how did that all transpire? How did it transpire that you got into actually doing gigs?
You know what? When you're younger, I didn't even think about doing gigs. It was just kind of like, we get to play with my mates and hang out and do something that was different to what everyone else was doing. I love doing shit like that. And so when we first got to, I handpicked all my best mates to come and play who had interest in music, and then they came over and started playing. And then we kind of just wrote originals, would learn covers, and then that progressed into, we started doing Battle of the Bands. Mm-hmm. And then we would, and then we could support people if we won Battle of Bands. And then we just started, out of nowhere, we just started cleaning up. And we just started winning Battle of the Bands everywhere, left, right, and centre. And to be honest, I think we were more of a Rage Against the Machine covers band, but we were just young kids, and that was like the that was a big thing then.
Rage Against the Machine was things. That would have been 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s, yeah. And at that time, I was going to St Andrews, and so we'd win a few awards, and then St Andrews would let us put on, like the blue light disco and play for them. And actually, funny story, my dad was like, you can use my drum kit, just don't touch my cymbals, because I get to play for the front of the whole school, right? And I was like, man, I'm so excited. We just won Battle of the Bands. I'm on this high. We're going to go there. I got my brother and my best mates in this band. We're going to smash this gig. And Dad's like, take the drums, can't take cymbals. And I had these shitty cymbals. And I waited last minute, and I was like, and I flogged his cymbals. Oh, I'm taking his cymbals, right? And he bought these new Ks. And we come from a pretty poor family. So Dad having Ks was just like, that's years of saving just to get these cymbals.
Zildjians.
Yeah, Zildjian Ks, right? Had them up there, played with them, and the boys were all like, whoo, these things are sweet. We were the lead, but the band before us was a support band, and me being me, too excited, left the cymbals on there, and one of the guys cracked them. And actually, Omar's writing a book at the moment, just memoirs of his life, and I remember just reading it a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I always remember your look on your face when I had to take the cymbal and explain to Dad, I didn't listen to what you said, and I cracked the cymbal, and here it is here. And Omar's like, all I remember is just you crying out for help because you were getting a beating.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I'm like, fair enough. Anyway, so that we got into that, and we didn't really think much. And then we lived in a street who they said, oh, we need a band for like my kids' party. And we thought, yeah, we'll learn all these Rage and Korn covers and Red Hot Chili Peppers, all the stuff that was in at that time. And they were like, can you learn some Wiggles covers? So we ended up dressing up all in the Wiggles colours and went, yep, let's do this. And then we were just like a hit within our street with all these kids' parties.
Oh, wow.
And that's when it first dawned on us, like, we can actually make some money like playing gigs and that. So that's where it kind of came from.
Okay. So, playing at school, what happens when you leave school? And does music become the one thing that you're doing to earn as a career, or is something else going to be a career? What's the thought behind what you're going to do with your life?
Yeah, this is the thing, Scotty. My life took a big turn just because of obviously my dad dying when I was pretty young. So because it was actually funny, I was talking to my brother about it this morning. Our lives maybe would have gone on a different trajectory if our parents were still alive, it's just like everyone else as well. But Dad dying, our mum was just like, especially to me, I'm the eldest, like, you got to get a job. So music was just become back burner for many years after that. It was just about me facilitating, a standard of living for my siblings and my mum. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that I didn't really think about music for a while. I mean, it was always there. So I did an apprenticeship. And when I was doing my apprenticeship, I remember even just 2 years into it, the boss came up to me. He's like, look, mate, you got to choose either music or, this, because on the weekends I'd try gigs still. And then, I'd do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and then I would just be wrecked. Getting up at 5:30, starting at 6. Yeah, I'm just a walking zombie. And he was like, "Come on, mate. You're taking a piss a bit." So he was like, "Either choose one of them." And at the time, I was like, "Well, I'm making bugger all gigging. It's like $100 a gig. I was just a kid, which is fair." And so I just chose to do the trade instead.
So, what sort of a trade was it?
I can't say, or else everyone will ask me to go around to their place and fix stuff.
That's true. That's true. So you finished doing that. Yeah. At some point, you start playing music full time.
Yeah.
When did that happen, and how did that come about?
I think we were about. I did about 2 years of my trade. As I become a full qualified tradesman, and then I actually just said to my brother, I was like, "This is now or never." So what we did is we rented a house in Merrimack, and we basically said, this is the X amount of rent we got to pay. And so we were like, it was 4 bedrooms. We're like, let's rent out these rooms for over what the rent is, just so we can, because we worked out, we could probably live off $100 a week, just scratch eating noodles, but at least we've got plenty of time to practice.
Yep.
And so we kind of just did that, and we just kind of rented the rooms out and kind of managed all the rooms to just uni students paying the bills, international kids. and we just kind of collected, paid, and him and I stayed home all day and just practiced.
Okay.
And that was actually our way of like, we need to put some time in to get on the road, you know.
And then obviously you're practicing, but would have been out gigging as well, I'd imagine.
He was real lucky because Damien kind of picked me up as well. And so he kind of was like, come gig with me. So I was gigging with him a lot, just around town doing things. Even if I wasn't gigging, he'd be like, come watch, you know, this gig and watch this player play. And so I was real lucky like that. And then Max Dow was another one who then picked me up as well and went, come with me. And then, so that was really good too. So I managed to get really good mentors to kind of kick me out the arse a bit.
And what was Omar doing? Does Omar have anybody that he was out playing with at the time as well?
Yeah, well, Saxon picked him up pretty early. Yeah, so he kind of joined that crew when he was under 18, I reckon. He was joining. I think first person was Dave Watson.
Okay. Dave. Yeah. Because he was running a music school.
Yeah. So he and the old man started the music school together in 95, between 94 and 96 in the old arcade in Burleigh.
Yeah.
So they started together, and then obviously we moved to Sydney just for a couple of years to run a Montezuma's restaurant. And Dave just kept running it. So he kept on running it. But then he took Omar under the wing, and then they did little duos together, and he tried to take Omar to the conservatorium. And so Omar went to the con for maybe a year or something, and then, yeah.
Yeah. Because I saw, was it both you and Omar used to play at that little house?
Oh, Swinging Safari.
Yeah, at Swinging Safari. Yeah.
Man, you know what's funny is, dude, I was playing this random gig on the weekend out in the back in the Rang, right? And it was at someone's house. It was for a 40th or something. And this guy in the crowd was just always staring. I was looking at him like, man, what the hell is this guy? He's giving me the stink eye all night, right? And then he comes up and he goes, you're the drummer from Swinging Safari. I was like, oh my goodness. I reckon I've aged 20 years since then. Like, that was so long ago.
Well, I mean, you guys would have been fairly young when that was going on.
Yeah. Neil was really good to us then. He gave us that was really good building blocks of our playing, because he kind of gave us a platform where he was like, I'll pay you guys. It's like $500 or $600 a night or whatever it was. It wasn't much, but he was like, but for us it was freaking, you know, we're getting paid to freaking do what we love.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll pay you guys to create whatever type of nights you want. So we were just like, oh, we'll do an improv night now. We'll do like a speakeasy night tomorrow. So we kind of gave this whole platform to just pick and choose players.
It was a really popular thing too.
Yeah.
It worked really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. Yeah, I met a lot of crew through there. And you know, funny, even now, like I still get people coming up to me now like I was on a road with this band called Simply West, and one of the players in there, Neslov, he's one of my mates. He said to me, he goes, man, I always remember going to Swinging Safari and I hid out the back and watched you. And I was like, what? And there's stories like that around where people are like, yeah, we used to watch you and your brother like 10 years ago. And I'd like, what were you saying, do you think? And because you're such a busy, popular place, you just, you know, people come and go and you don't know who's who. And, you know, you'd see faces like yourself, and that's the people that you'll gravitate to because you know them, you know?
Yeah. It's a really good thing. It's a shame that it's not there anymore.
Yeah, and we kind of need something like that again. As you know, like, you know, the scene, it always changes, you know. It's always...
Everything always does.
Yeah.
It's like, unfortunately, it would appear sometimes not necessarily changing for the better. There's a lot less venues for bands to play in than there used to be. I think there's still a lot of venues, but a lot of the venues the budgets aren't as big as they used to be, and they'll have a solo or a duo rather than having a band.
Exactly.
And the noise restrictions makes life difficult.
Oh, it's a pain in the ass.
How do you find with that being a drummer? It's like, I find there's a lot of gigs that I do where either you have to use an electric kit, or it's almost preferable to use an electric kit because of the volume that you have to play at.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you find that?
I won't play electric kit.
Fair enough.
There's just something about it. It feels a bit Guitar Hero-like for me. So I will, unless it's like corporate and it's a friend or something, you know, and then I'll be like, yeah, of course. But if it's my own gig, I will simply just get someone else to play. I just won't do the gig.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just because I'm like, I just don't see a point of me doing the gig. And it's only because it's the way that we set up our band, because it's so heavily tracked. You couldn't really tell the difference because I leave all the MIDI drums in there. So you can't, if someone's playing drums, to me, I'm like, you much rather just get another singer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get more for your buck.
So you
then.
talk about the band that you're doing now. Is that which because you've got a couple of different things that you do. Is that Hanlon? Is it Hanlon Brothers now, or is it's a different? It works under a different name now, doesn't it?
Yeah. So 42 band. I call it that because the Accidents band was already taken.
42 band.
Such a great name, by the way. The Accidents.
Oh man, that came around really oddly. It started out as the Bizarre Gardening Accidents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the band. What was originally was called that, and it was me and Wazza and Damien, and it was just a 3-guy thing. And
Is it the one who used to play at Sugar Shack? Because I remember you had Brooke there for a bit.
yeah, that was later on. When we started out at the Rose and Crown,
Holy shit.
and we used to dress in like gardening outfits, and we'd have microphones taped to the roof, hanging down from the roof, and we had pot plants and body arm. It was quite an interesting staged show. And it was called the Bizarre Gardening Accidents because Wazza, who played drums, was a fan of the movie Spinal Tap. And in the movie The Spinal Tap, one of the drummers in the band dies in a bizarre gardening accident.
It's all making sense now.
And that's where the name came from. And eventually, we got Brooke came and joined the band, and the band changed, and it was just a bit of a mouthful. I mean, people would say, "What's the name of the band?" And we'd go, "It's the Bizarre Gardening Accidents." So we just shortened it to the Accidents. It made it easier.
Yeah, right.
So that's how the Accidents, how it became the Accidents. It started out as something much more bizarre.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is such a great name. One of my friends makes, like, he does like logos, and he's a brand builder, right? And he always said to me, he's like, when you're thinking of names, you got to think of something that's not a name that's hip at the moment. You got to think of something that will last, and all this different things, and it's not too much. And going through band names, and your name, like, the Accents come on, I was like, man, that's such a great name. And it's like one of those names that it's like, no matter 20 years each way, it'd still be a relevant name, you know? It's not like a name that's like, oh, it's a hip name now, but it won't be that later.
Yeah, it's a funny thing with names. Like if you had to come to me and said, oh, we're gonna have a band, and let's call it Cold Chisel. But you don't even think about it now. It's just that's a great iconic Australian band.
It's just an iconic name, yeah.
Yeah. I think Midnight Oil's a great name.
Yeah, it is a good name.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
So 42 band.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that?
Postcode of Goldie. So 42 something. So.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I thought about it. So I'm like, oh, we're a Goldie band, and I went through different things. I'm like, you know what, just 42, because I was, at the time there was heaps of like this. My brother was in a rap group, and he released an album called 42, and I was like, 42? And he's like, yeah, it's a postcode of the Goldie, bro. And then I was like, oh yeah, and then it kind of just sat with me, and then eventually I was like, oh, 42 band. Yeah. That only came about because Hanlon Brothers at the time was doing half originals, half covers, as most bands do, right, when they start. And we started getting people to come to our shows that were kind of a bit on the fence. Some people would
want the covers, some people want the originals.
Yeah.
People dividing the audience a bit.
It was dividing the audience a little bit. So we drew a line in the sand. We said, you know what, Hanlon Brothers is just going to do originals only.
Yep.
Maybe a couple of covers, but predominantly originals. And 42 band's just going to be all events, covers. And we're just going to go all out that way. So 42 band does quite a bit of corporate work. Does, yeah.
And the Hanlon Brothers, I mean, I remember you guys did, you went down and did Bluesfest down in Byron. And I guess part of the whole deal with doing Bluesfest is you can't do other gigs in the area for a certain time frame around that. Is that right?
Yeah, it is right.
So how did that affect you and your ability to do gigs?
Well, when you're a small band and you're from the area, it really shoots you in the foot.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly what the clause was, but it was like a year or something.
A year?
Something around that, or maybe a bit less than that, but it was around that time.
That seems that's a long time not to be able to gig in your area.
I know. And when it's your solely income, it's like, oh.
So I guess that's another reason to separate the bands and have them different. Was that part of the reason?
That was actually part of the reason. That was one of the reasons, yeah. It was during that time when it all happened. You know, so it was a good way of looking at, to make some money to fund the Hanlon Brothers. So, man, music scene.
Yeah. I mean, You guys do, are you still doing quite a bit of corporate work?
Yeah, shitload.
Yeah.
With 42, yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Not much with Hanlon Brothers because it's, it's just a timing thing. So Bluesfest was all picking up, and then we went back to write an album, and then because Bluesfest was 2018, write an album in 2019, 2020 had everything ready to release, started rolling out releases,
COVID hit, yeah.
And then that just stopped momentum, and then I took a year and a half off playing in general. Didn't touch anything, had some savings, was like, I'm just gonna live with my savings. And I just took a step back, complete step back. Like even like Ange and I separated at that time. So like I moved into my studio. I literally just stepped back from the whole world for quite a long time. So
you teach now as well, because we've got the Hanlon School. Is that come out of the thing with David Watson, or is that something?
Yeah, it actually does. Yeah, good spotting, Scotty. Well, because I was teaching at BAM, Burleigh Academy of Music, that the old man and David had. And I was teaching at Billy Hyde's as well. So I think between them both maybe had 60 students. I didn't have that many down in Burleigh. Had more up at Billy Hyde's. And I kind of just traveled in between them both. And then I eventually went, you know what, I'm just going to just solely focus down at BAM. And then the rent just got ahead of them.
Yeah.
It's just too much. They couldn't make any money. So they went to go hand it to myself to be like, do you want to take over? It's a bit too much for them. They're going to go teach from home or somewhere else. And then I was like, okay, I'm interested, but it's a lot of money, man. I think back then it was like, that was 2017 or 18, and he wanted to have, it was like almost $1,000 a week or something, just be there.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous. So I was just like, and it was more of a nostalgic thing for me because I was like, oh, my dad taught here, I want to be here, so.
Oh, because that was still underneath the arcade at Burleigh.
Yeah.
Across from the surf. Would have been a nice spot.
Beautiful spot. But a lot of things happened at that time there because, the parking's obviously changed there now. And
yeah, it's all paid parking.
It's all paid parking, and it just got busy, and then it just...
Well, yeah, you can, if you can find a park.
Exactly. So this is what started happening is that students are like, where are we parking? Like, we got to pull up for half an hour or an hour, and they're like, then we got to pay. It just become one of those things. So I found a space, which I'm at the moment, and my friend had a space back in Miami, which I am now. And he was shaping surfboards, rehearsing bands, doing all that. It was kind of like a real hipster type of joint. It was actually a sick joint. And I went there and he goes, look, just hire a room from here. So I went there, hired a room from there, took my students there. And that lasted maybe 6 months or something. And then I then brought my brother across. And so I put him in, and then I put someone else in. And then I just kind of had running their own things. It kind of just eventuated from there.
Yeah.
And now the school just literally runs itself. I think next year I'm going to probably do another one, maybe down Tweed.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's just, you know what I mean? Like things like this, it's like, 5 years ago, everyone was like, oh, music lessons. And now it's like, everyone's like, music lessons, I want music, I want my kid to learn music. It's like, what happened to everyone? It's back in fashion again.
COVID.
Yeah.
I think there is probably an argument that could be made that during COVID, people were looking for things to do. One of the things I loved about COVID, and this probably has something where parents were interested in having their kids play an instrument, is something that you could do when you're isolated and you had to entertain yourself.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I really dug about doing music during COVID, particularly when we could go back, even though people couldn't get up and dance, they had to sit, and all these weird rules.
It was weird rules, eh?
But one of the things that I really dug about it was people would actually listen and watch. So the vibe in venues was very different.
Yeah, it was.
And I really liked it because I liked the fact that, we really appreciate what you do and we really love your stuff, and they were listening and were quite appreciative. And it was a really, from my point of view at least, I enjoyed that period. It's all gone back to normal now. And
yeah. What's the question I was going to ask you? So when you play your covers, what do you think about yourself or think about the audience?
A bit of both. There's a level of, from my point of view, there's a level of me doing what I think I do well. And I think if I'm doing something and I do it well, people will enjoy it.
Yeah.
So part of part of it's coming from an aspect of going, okay, this is what I really love doing, and I think I do it reasonably well, so people will enjoy that. And there's also...
It does translate too. Like, people will see that and they feel
And I
that.
also think too, it's that there is a thing where you can't please everyone.
Yeah.
It's just, you can try, but it's very unlikely.
Yeah.
There's always going to be someone who wants to hear something that you don't.
You don't do or don't. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I will do requests if it's in the wheelhouse of what I do, but I'm not going to bend over backwards to do something that's not something that I don't know well enough. I've worked out over a period of time, there are things that I don't do well. And I just try and avoid doing that stuff like the plague, because if you don't do it well, you don't enjoy doing it. It can give a... What's the word I'm looking for? I just don't think it reflects well upon yourself.
Yeah. It doesn't translate across to the audience.
No. And the other side there's another side to that too, where if you're doing the stuff that works for you, that you love, you'll build an audience, hopefully, of people that want to hear you do that, which will be different from an audience that might want to see someone else.
Mm.
I think a big part of the problem with a lot of bands these days is you can go and see a dozen bands on the coast or in Brisbane, and they're all playing the same repertoire.
Yeah, they are.
Part of that is because there's a perception that audiences only want to hear those songs.
Mm.
And I guess that there is a small cross-section of people who do, but I think if you can be different, play some different material, have something unique to offer, you'll do well.
Yeah.
It's that thing of you still got to be able to perform it well. You've got to sell it to the audience too.
Yeah, you do.
You can't just stand up and play. I mean, it's one thing to stand up and play and sing really well, but you've got to sell it. You've got to be able to give a performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tui taught me that one, actually, the whole performance thing.
Yeah.
He said to me, he's like, look, we're still in show business. You got to remember that. It's show business. So... And actually, it clicked in my head once. I was like, "Yeah, you're actually right. You have to sell it. We're in show business."
So Omar's off doing Amy Shark.
He is, yeah. Yep.
Is he still teaching as well?
Yeah, he's up with Brad up at Southern Cross.
Oh, he is too.
Mm.
That's right. He is too.
Yeah.
Do you still do Hanlon Brothers together? Is that still a happening thing?
It is. So after COVID hit, we kind of went our separate ways, and then Omar was like, well, we all need to work, and so Omar was like, I'm gonna try jumping with other things and other touring things, and then obviously he picked up the Amy thing, he went off with that, and then uni, our youngest brother, pardon me, he went up to Mount Isa to help up there. So we've gone back to where we were at 2020.
Okay.
So we kept on writing. We wrote an album through COVID as well, and
So the stuff that was about to be released, did it get released?
No, we didn't find a right time after that because, you just didn't know what was going on. You didn't want to release an album and then kind of, especially that time, I was like, what's going to happen? Probably in hindsight, we should have released it and kept moving forward. But at the time, we were just like, let's just hold everything for now and just see what happens with this whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
And so then while that was happening, we wrote another album and then we just kept writing. I mean, that's kind of what we're good at doing. So we just kept going and going. And then we've just got to it's another thing. It's like, all the improv nights too from Swinging Safari, there was there's a lot of shit in there, but you'd play 20, 30 songs at night, all improvised, and I catalogued every one of them. So years.
You've got a back catalogue of stuff.
There is thousands and thousands and thousands of songs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like 5,000, 6,000 songs of just, some of them 20 minutes, some of them like 2 minutes.
Because you had guys doing improvised rap and
singing. Like, Tommy Stowers was just like amazing at like the improvised rapping guy, he was incredible. And then when we got Tommy as well, Tommy would do it and sing and then bring that whole melodic thing to it. I'm like, oh my.
Yeah, he's a monster singer.
Monster.
Yeah.
And so, people would be like, nah. We did it at Bluesfest. We did 2 improvised songs down there. We made the whole crowd pick the words. And even still then, people were like, bullshit. They knew the words. You knew what songs. They could even hear us yelling out like the changes to each other because we don't know. And but they're still like, yes, it was all part of the show. We're like, fucking hell. righto. There's almost a safeguard in that too, like my brother and I found, because, you know, because if you fuck up, you kind of feel safe in it. Like, oh, well, I was... In that kind of defined our playing a bit too. Like, that's why we kind of push a little bit of boundary sometimes, because it's kind of like, well, if I play safe and I play what I know, and if I fuck up doing that, then, oh, it's all out. But if I push... There's an opportunity that I will stuff up, and that's okay because I'm pushing myself.
Yeah.
So that kind of defined us a bit.
Yeah. And then something new might come out of it too.
Something new might come out of it. So.
Yeah. That's a great way of looking at it, actually. You've done a couple of other odd, different things. I remember seeing there was a point where you went out west, out through the outback of Australia.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What was all that about?
Oh, that was through West Country Arts Australia, so WA, and that was going up straight up the guts. So I was out there for a bit with a guy called Gene Peterson. He's a really good producer and drummer and pianist. He's great bloke. He had like a workshop that we would go through. So we did. It was kind of like a what's that? So that tap dance group, I can't remember what they're called, but it's like tap dancing and drumming and stuff like that. And we kind of had a show like that.
Like Tap Dogs?
Yeah, it's like Tap Dogs.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that, and then we'd do workshops on top of that of like drumming, called junk drumming. So that went, that went all over. So we basically we hugged the WA border into Northern Territory and into South Australia, and basically went from the top all the way down, jumping over the border. It's real funny out there, man, because it's like...
That's covering a lot of territory.
A lot.
So like that would have been quite a few thousand kilometres.
Oh, yeah. It'd be days of driving and just look out the window and be like, are we just going in circles? It looks the same. You don't realise how like big Australia is. You know?
It is. It's a big place.
Yeah. And most of my mates never really kind of get out of the Goldie. They kind of stay, around this area. And then when you go out there, you're just like, man, it is just keeps going and going and going. And you see a car coming past and it'd be just full of black fellas and they go past, don't even look at you. They're just like, and you're just like, oh, they're gone now. So this is a different world out here.
Yeah.
So we would do these shows, right, and then do a workshop. Real funny crew out there, the best people out there. You do these. Actually, the funny story is, so we go to Western Australia Arts, right, and they have this big, because it's a government thing. So you sit down, you got to do all these like chat of like, got to give you all the safety thing. And one of the things they said to us was like, whatever you do, you can't leave the compound that you're staying in at night time. It's too dangerous out there. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, okay. And me, just half-caste kid, I'm just like, as soon as you got nighttime, I'm going for a walk. Go for a walk out there. It's just like people. People are people, no matter who they are. So I learnt so much out there, and man, it's like
dangerous from the point of view of the people, or dangerous from the point of view of getting lost.
I think a bit of everything, because you
snakes,
a bit of everything.
Scorpions.
Yeah. Man, there's one picture that I took, and it was in the back of a Pajero, and I'm in there and I'm sitting with all these kids, right? And they're just like, they're trying to teach me all these words and the signs that they use for all the different animals and stuff like that. And it's just, and I hung with them for a few days in this particular area, and they would take me out, show me where water is. They speak like this, it's like pidgin English, and they speak really fast too. So I'm like, man, I can't understand a word these kids are saying, right? And then so they would say, funny thing is, it'd be like hot or something, and I'd just like jumper off, throw it on the ground, keep walking, like nothing. Get cold, look around. Oh, there's a jumper over there. Just pick that random jump, put it up, goes to here. Oh my God, like this is just different world out here. I'm like, this is all Australia. Like, this is wow.
Yeah.
Dogs everywhere, there's fires everywhere, there's like, but the nicest people ever. I remember our tyre, it's car broken, we had to fix the tyre. And we're trying to fix it up, and then it was in the middle of nowhere. I turned around, and this fella came down from nowhere, and he came and started giving us a hand. Real nice bloke. He started stuffing it full of this grass shit in there. He's like, this will last you until you get somewhere else. It was almost like that Bushman Mechanic, that show. It was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Literally within 5 minutes, turned around, and there's like 15 blokes there. I'm like, where are you guys coming from? So this world is it's just crazy out here.
Yeah.
Nice though. got us going, got us to the next town. So great. So,
Yeah.
but they have that men's business out there, and I think that's why they were giving us such a big stern talk when they. It's like a traditional thing. I don't know too much about it, but they would, they have to march out and they go out and spend days out. So they're focused. You're not allowed to look what they're doing. You kind of have to keep to yourself. Things like that they were really focusing on us to not disturb.
What was your motivation to actually take that on?
Man, I always had this thing of like, yeah, I'll do it.
One of the things that came across here's an offer to go and do.
Yeah, and I'll always say yes, or shit like that. Like I'm always like, yeah, I'll give it a crack. Bit different now, I'm a bit older now, and obviously a kid and stuff like that. But back then, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So I just take, so, I mean, that's how my brother and I were doing a residency at a swingers club. Like we would just be like, yeah, I'll do that. Just two kids in a place where everyone's like doing nasties and running in front of you, like. The funny thing about that story is when we're doing this, is it's not so much the gig because you get desensitized to it after a while. You're like, whatever. Me and Westy would go watch shows and whatever that was going on. The funny thing about it though is the people that you know in the crowd, and you're like, yeah, but I'm working here. What are you doing here? My lips are sealed to this day, but still I know and they know. So when I see those people, we like.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's good times. But yeah, I just say yes to everything. So whatever goes, and that's kind of took me over to the States, took me to Europe, took me just traveling a lot, seeing the world.
Yeah.
Shit pay a lot of the times, but that's what you do when you're young and you're eager just to see things. And it wasn't about the pay; it was about the adventure, about the experience, getting to know people.
What would you say if you had to pick a highlight of all of the different things that you've done? What would you say would be the biggest highlight that you've had?
Oh, it would definitely be Bluesfest. Like, Peter was really good to us. He was a bit of a double-edged sword. He was really good to us, and he was like, "I'll put you guys on a prime time spot." It was like at night time. Like we were playing at 7:00 at night or something, which is unheard of for just a band that has bugger all international followers or even national followers, right? And he just really had a liking to us.
Yep.
He took all his crew. He would watch all our shows, side stage, clap us. He was like, amazing, right? But, that was a highlight, and the double-edged sword about it was you're competing against all these international acts. So you're almost better off going at 3:00 or something where there's kind of, we're just looking around and you could bring people in, right? But then, the next tent next to you has got like an international guy, and there's all these.
So you've got a certain amount of audience, and they're all going around looking for what act they're going to watch.
Yeah.
Did you end up having a full tent?
Yeah, it was about 3,000 maybe, or 2,500. It was pretty good. Like, we were in one of the main tents. But, I mean, it wasn't as good as... I reckon we would have had a turnout if it was a little bit earlier.
Oh, okay.
But it is what it is.
Do you remember who was in the other tents while you were on?
Oh, I remember one of them, someone said Seal was there, and I was like,
Oh,
Seal?
wow.
Like, that was the other guy that was in... I can't remember the other tents, but I just remember going, what? He's on the same time as us? And it was not so much like, oh, damn, he's going to take people. It's like, damn it, I really wanted to watch him.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the other funny thing is we become really good mates with, he was just here, Eric Gales. So he was doing signatures at the same time we were. So we were like, we'd go to this tent, and then my home and I and Brooke are sitting there. Eric Gales is next to us. He's got this line down the road to sign, and we've just got our girlfriends just in the line. And we were just, and he was giggling, we'd just banter back and forth, and he would jump in our line, sign some things, so people would come in and he would sneak back into his line, and we'd just, just do shit like that. Jeez, it was funny.
Oh, wow.
But that was a super highlight, and things like that are really cool because of, because you're with your brothers, and it's really different. Like, I've played with heaps of artists before and done really good gigs, but it's always someone else's thing, it's their baby, their project, and you're just hired in to do the job, and that's freaking amazing. Different feeling when it's your own.
Yeah.
So that was a special thing. And I remember going at the back, and we're like, where's our younger brother? I was like, man, where is he? Like, we're trying to find him, and he's down the outside.
Because he does the rap thing.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's out the back with the whalers smoking reefers. He's just like, where are you? And who are these guys? Just funny things, and because you're brothers, it's like, just bantering, there's yelling on stage, you're like having a go at each other, and it's pretty fun. But, the show goes on, and, it was really good. It's a really good turnout.
Yeah.
It's a really good highlight for us. My biggest highlight, yeah.
Yeah. If you were, if you had to pick a time where you had an experience that was something you wish that hadn't happened, or that a decision that you made that you wish that you hadn't, that you, if you had your time over, you would do differently or not do at all, what would you say something like that would be?
Well, Omar and I, we early 20s, we both tried to go to the States, and we try applying for different universities over there. He ended up getting one straight away, and I was still applying for things. But I think then our mum got sick, and then she had
she had cancer.
She had cancer, and that went on for quite a long time. She came out of a violent relationship, not with my dad, but with the dude that she was with after my dad. So there's all that type of stuff that we, you got to pick one, and fortunately we stayed and for the family. Unfortunately, our career really suffered, I felt. No qualms now, it is what it is. But then I felt if we would have just went, you know what, let's
go to the States.
Let's just head to the States. Two young blokes, heaps of energy, just a couple of Aussie kids over there, just like, ready to, tear it apart. Something might have come out of it, but even if it didn't, we still tried to go. So I think that's the one thing that kind of sits on both of our minds a lot.
Yeah.
We used to, not so much now.
I guess that's that thing, the sliding doors moments.
Yeah. Because, the Gold Coast is, I think it's the best place in the world, right?
It's really changed in a lot of ways. It's really become quite a hub for good things to happen. There's a lot of really cool things coming out of here.
There is.
So, and that's an amazing thing. I was talking to Brad about it, and he thinks it's largely because of how many people are moving here. But I think there's a lot of other reasons beyond that too. If you think of southeast Queensland in general, going back to the 70s, you had the Saints.
Yeah.
Then you're going into the 90s and having Savage Garden, Powderfinger. A lot of really, really good bands. Now Amy Shark doing really, really good things. And you guys, obviously, I remember when the Bluesfest down in Byron, when you guys were doing it, that was pre-COVID too, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So COVID really did get in the way of the trajectory of where the band was going.
Yeah. We're just about to sign his deal with Pete too, because he wanted to keep us on for 5 years, but then we had to he was going to put us on with acts that would tour through, that would have side shows, so it would be their touring. So it was this whole, but it was real funny, Scotty, because he literally pulled us to the side after our first show, and he was like, "Leave your management. I want to sign you now."
Wow.
And my brother's like, oh. And our management at the time was a lady called Cass, and she became like our mum to us, She had bigger balls than anyone in the band, including all us brothers. She was just like... And on that gig too, she brought her 2 babies on. She had a baby strapped to her front, another baby strapped to the back.
So she was all in.
She was all in, man.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm here to die for you boys. And, maybe it was mum issues for us. We were just like, we spoke about it, and we're like, we've got to think about it. And we told her straight away, this is what's happened. And she looked at us and just went, you got to make a decision that's the best for you guys. And because she said that, we were like, we're going to stick with you.
Yeah.
Because of that. Because she was just all out
she's looking out for your best interests.
So we stuck with her. And then obviously COVID, and then she went off and done something else, and we kind of all split ways.
So, any new albums about to be released or anything like that?
Yeah, there is actually. Yeah, so we're going to go back to that, and all those songs are going to get released. We're just finding out. So we did.
Where do you do that? Are you doing the recording yourself? Because obviously you have the ability with the music school and the spaces to record.
Yeah, but
because you had a studio as part of the school at one stage.
Yeah, at one stage. Man, it's just such a hard gig though.
It is.
Yeah, having the studio thing.
Well, and it's that thing. It's like, are you a recording studio? Are you a music school? Which is that?
There's that line again,
What's that thing? It's, and in some ways, the way the industry is, it's almost like you have to be as many different things as you can. Like you're a teacher and you're a drummer, but you're also, there's a lot of things you're juggling.
Yeah. And I got another few projects about to start too. The good thing about my school is that I stopped teaching years ago, and the reason why I stopped teaching is because I remember hiring this young kid, Taz, who plays for Budra now. I remember he's a fantastic drummer. I hired him, and I remember him like he was covering for me while I was going away, and he was like charting out things, transcribing these things, and then I was just like, man, I've been doing that for years. Like, and that was at the point where I was just like, in my head, I was like, man, I think I'm done. I think I'm just teaching now because it's a personality thing, and I know the kids now, and it's more of like, you know, rather than actually like I'm really pushing the kids, it's kind of like, yeah, it's just a job.
And he was doing a great job of it.
He was doing a great job of it. And I saw that, and I saw that fire in him that I used to have with teaching, and I was just like...
Just get more people like that.
Well, that's what ended up happening. So I ended up just completely stopped teaching, and I was just like, you know what, you know, just... So then I started building that, and then... and that was just before COVID, and then COVID hit, and I was like completely over. And then I brought the school back, and now the school's just, I don't know, maybe it's just under a couple hundred people there, maybe. And it just gets bigger and bigger, and I've got there was about 11 teachers, I think, last time I seen, or a bit more.
So you were just saying you've just expanded into a whole new space too.
Well, I did, like, so last year I expanded in the other space, and I took over there, and I started putting more rooms in there. I jumped the gun a little bit too soon. I could have probably kept my space a bit more. And then I let go of it because I went in partnership with the people that were in there. Then they took over it, and then they've recently just said, we can't do it. So now I've taken it back, but it's just going to be a creative space now. So I've got a lot of my mates in there that just do, you know, videography work, and they just want desks to work out because there's heaps of rooms in there. Mm-hmm. So they're going to do that type of thing. And there's a big white wall in there for photos and stuff like that. So I'm like, and it's really bright. So I'm like, you know what? This is going to be an open room. So, but I'll probably end up doing gigs in there. So I'm going to look at liquor license. It's the creative space called Melody Creative, and that'll probably launch in the next couple of months.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just getting a little team together now to like, let's push this. And
so there's a lot of things happening in the background.
There is, yeah. Man, my mind's, because it's that ADHD head. I'm always like, I've got to do something, And then I've got my kid, obviously, and he's, because Ange works so much and her work's so demanding on her, so we got to run, you know, my household and my son a lot too. So between like the little hours that I got, I'm like, got to run, pick him up, and then do his thing. And then he's a crazy kid, so in a good way.
Yeah. He loves getting out in the surf.
He loves to surf.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
and
we're doing
perfect spot for it too.
Oh man, it's the best spot. And we go surfing together on Fridays because we both get surf coaching. And it's funny because he just constantly just tries, like, he's obviously a way better surfer than me, just because he's so, you know, nimble, and I'm just old, and getting up on my feet's a hard thing. And
well, you're a rather tall individual.
Yeah, it's hard. Like Daddy Longlegs getting up. I'm like, anyway, and he's just cutting to me, and we just, you know, we have the best time together actually every Friday morning. Yeah,
that's cool.
Trying to push each other off the boards and stuff like that. It's really fun. So,
what's the plan for the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Well, the school is actually doing really well. The thing about the school is to just try. Man, it's a funny thing, man, because obviously my parents being like obviously passing away early, and also they were just simple folk, to be honest, man. And they just played music, done that. You know, Dad came here because of the Polynesian shows. You know, he kind of found his way here, not because he was like, I heard of this place called Gold Coast. It's just he just found his way here, right? And kind of we come from that, and they didn't really think. They lived week to week. You know, we lived in a commission house. So it was just shit like that. Like I paid for my own schooling at St. Andrews. They just weren't that type of people. So that kind of translated to us kids. So man, a lot of the times now I'm trying to build things, and I have to really like ask all my friends who have done things and what have they done. I got to pick their brain, and it's always a slow process. So trying to build my school, it's come to so long to get to the point now where I'm like, okay, it's just about finding simple ways to communicate to people, for them to just, for everything, for them to do payments, to them learn, to them to just talk to us, just finding real simple things and strategies, and then rinse and repeat. Next thing, do the same thing. So I've learned a lot, and one of the other things is personalities. Like when I first opened the school, I got all my gun mates in there just to be like, yeah, let's get in there. But I didn't realize like that all my friends, but just couldn't translate to the kids. You need a teacher, like you know what I mean? It's almost like they're two.
There's a different skill between being great at playing an instrument to actually teaching it.
Absolutely.
It's a different skill.
Absolutely. And so I didn't know any of this stuff. So this is all the stuff you got to trip on your feet. And go, oh man. So now I've got a bunch of teachers who are just, when I have interviews with them, I actually don't really care about their playing ability, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I know they've got here because of their playing ability.
Yeah.
I just want to know about their personality. Can they talk? How do they communicate to me? What are they like? Are they actually are they an approachable person? And if they are, man, they got the job and they're straight in. And then I've noticed since then, just kids are just like, I love coming here. So that was the other thing as well. Like I used to think about music schools. Like I thought about Todd's one, Kids on Keys, and I didn't want to make it too school-like or clinical-like. I wanted to make it like like in here or next door, where it's like, man, this is a cool place to hang.
Yeah.
And I wanted kids to learn in that environment. So that's going on, and plus now we're just about to start doing busking with the kids. They do like performance videos. There's all these outside things that they do now, so that's growing and growing. So probably do another one next year down in Tweed, and then because there's just nothing really down there for kids to do. So one down there, and then start looking up further north. Definitely stay away from where Troy is, because obviously he's my mate, even though he's my rival. Nah, jokes.
He's going great guns.
Oh man, he just got married too, didn't he?
Yeah. It was a beautiful wedding too.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. And he's doing his school does great things, and obviously he has a way of doing his own thing.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
But I think that you're right. The communication is the key, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that's a general probably thing all throughout any industry. Most people, I think, who are successful have learned the key of how to communicate well.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just simplifying it so it's actually really understandable for all people,
Yeah. 'Cause I remember seeing you play with Andrew Baxter,
Yeah.
doing the blues thing, doing the blues on Broadbeach quite a few years ago.
I still see Baxter all the time, just because he's in
Burleigh.
Yeah, he is in Burleigh as well.
Yeah. I mean, and that was really interesting, because I'd never seen you play that style of music before.
Oh, how did I pass? Did I pass?
No, you were great. I mean, it's interesting because you do have what I would say a style of your own.
Yeah.
And it's hard to imagine you doing anything different than that style of playing.
Yeah.
So is that something that with having your own style, is that something that you've consciously worked on, or is it just something that's naturally happened?
Man, what's real funny is that's a really good question, and it's a really big thing about music, I think, in general. My dad said to me young, because I loved like Weckl and Steve Gadd, just loved those two when I was a kid. Obviously got older, I started loving Vinny and all that. But I used to just try steal all their, slow down their tapes and just try steal all their licks. And I remember my dad, which I don't know, he's kind of ego destroyer. He came in and he said to me, why would someone, son, come and listen to you that sounds exactly like Weckl, or would you just go see Weckl yourself? And that really it crushed me a bit, but it made sense to me. And at the end I was like, yeah, he kind of makes sense actually. Like, why the hell would I sound like that? So it's funny saying that, because I've now, I have teacher meetings all the time with the teachers, and I'm always about trying to break down a lesson structure for them where it's developing a sound for the kids. And it's a real hard one too, man, because you notice that you might get these indie guys that come out, shithouse musos, right? But they got a sound, and that's that sound that they've got, and that sound translates to people. But musically, I'm just like, oh, I can't listen to this. It's just tearing my ears up. I have to switch on something else to be like, oh, I love it. Sonically, I like this. Right? So before it gets to that stage, I'm always telling our teachers to teach our kids, you have to push yourself musically for yourself, but you also have to find your own sound. And you can't find your own sound if you don't listen to other music and try to copy other stuff and take bits and pieces, and then, kind of build your own thing from that. So that become, I guess that's how I found my own sound, and it was just getting all the bunch of things that I love from other people. And then if I had to play a certain gig, I'd just be like, okay, I'll just kind of emulate what I do, how I perceive how that gets played.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And then I'll go into that. And, sometimes it's taken, sometimes it's not. But I was really lucky, someone like Willie Quah, I jumped on the Galapagos Duck band for a while, which is real funny because me and Will Sargentson were the two youngest dudes. Our ages combined were still younger than the dude, the youngest guy in that group. And it was,
what a great learning curve that would have been. World-class musos.
Oh man, I tell you what, Scotty, it was one of those things because I come from, when I went to America, that was in a rock band, right? And different vibe again. And then when I got home, I got into Galapagos, and that was just like, oh, we're going to do Spain, and then we're going to do like all these songs. I'm like, oh, whoa. Like, man, these are the songs I only dreamt of as a kid. I got to learn all these songs. And I did my first show with them, and they're like folding down all these chairs. I'm like, why are they folding all these chairs down? And then I didn't realize, like, oh man, there's no standing audience here. It's like 500 people sitting there like this. And like you do like a drum thing, they'll be like, I was like, oh my God, they're actually watching.
Yeah.
So it got me really like, oh, I got to think about every note that I put down, like.
Yeah, it's a different vibe. It's not like we're here to dance and party. We're here to enjoy music.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess, I say that to like students as well, like to the teachers as well. Like, I always say that covers music is, I just say to everyone, you're a glorified jukebox. Just think that. Don't get too caught up in it. You're a glorified jukebox. Whatever you do, just do it your best. So when I always think about when I go out and play, I'm like, I just want to be the best player on the stage at the moment as well. Also choosing songs for the crowd. But that kind of keeps me in check of my own abilities. And then when I say, when you play originals, be unapologetically who you are. Just
Absolutely.
Fucking play whatever you want, however you feel. Don't think about, the show has to go like this. Just play, and if people like it, they like it. If they dig it, they dig it. They don't, fuck, whatever.
If you're passionate about what you do and you love it and you put that love into what you're playing, that'll translate to an audience and people will get it.
They do, man.
Yeah.
They smell bullshit.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They absolutely do. Man, it's been a really, really wonderful having a chat.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm going to, at this point, we better maybe say we'll see you on the next one because I've got to rush off and go and do gigs.
Yeah, Jesus.
You got to go and pick up kids from school.
Yeah, I got to go kid pick up.
All right, thanks, man. Thank you very much. Yeah. And I'll see you everyone on the next podcast. Cheers.